moved out of the
Don't
regular
need
taxes
this one.
into the TIF. You didn't get
Don't
the TIF
need
rate.
this
You
one.
just moved into that area for the
Don't
track.
need yours. I do need that
You didn't
one.
get the tax rate. It was all new business. Got the
Well,
tax
no.
rate.
Oh, yes. It's gone the other way.
Okay, at 6:36, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And Renee, if I can please have a roll call.
Mr. Brewer,
Here.
Mr. McDaniel,
Here.
Ms. McCowan, Mr. Jablonski,
Here.
Ms. Byrd,
Here?
Mr. McClure, Mr. Griffith,
Here.
Ms. Kendall, Mr. Parker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Moving to our consent docket, item number 1, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of the minutes of the April 11th, 2024 regular Planning Commission meeting. And item number 2, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of SFP 2324-12, consideration of a short form plat submitted by Carlsbad Plaza LLC, Ryan Dudikin, for Cambridge Corner SFP for 0.84 acres of property generally located at the northwest corner of West Main Street and 48th Avenue Northwest. Does any member of the commission wish to remove any item from the consent docket? Does any member of the audience wish to remove any item from the consent docket? Seeing none, I would take a motion for our consent items
Move to approve. Second.
and a vote.
You may vote. Everyone has voted, and the motion carried 6-0.
Moving to our non-consent items, starting with items number 3, 4, and 5. Item number 3, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution R-2324-126, a resolution of the Council of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, amending the Norman 2025 Land Use and Transportation Plan so as to remove part of the southwest quarter of Section 11, Township 9 North, Range 3 West of the Indian Meridian, Cleveland County, Oklahoma, from the office designation and place the same in commercial designation east of 36th Avenue Northwest, north of West Tecumseh Road, and west of I-35. Item number 4, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance number O-2324-42, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, amending Section 36-201 of the Code of the City of Norman so as to remove part of the southwest quarter of Section 11, Township 9 North, Range 3 West of the Indian Meridian to Norman, Cleveland County, Oklahoma, from the PUD Planned Unit Development District and place the same in the PUD Planned Unit Development District and providing for the severability thereof, east of 36th Avenue Northwest, north of West Tecumseh Road, and west of I-35. Item number 5, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, and amendment and/or postponement of PP-2324-15, consideration of a preliminary plat submitted by Carroll Farm LLC, SMC Consulting Engineers PC, for Carroll Farm Addition, a planned unit development for property generally located east of 36th Avenue north of West Tecumseh Road and west of I-35 with alley waiver for commercial lots less than 1 acre. I would take the staff presentation.
Hi, Laura Hoggett with the Planning Department. I won't say everything that she said again, but so for our 2025 Land Use Plan Amendment, this is showing the section of the development that is currently office designation that the applicant is requesting to change to commercial. And they are also requesting a new PUD and a preliminary plat. So this was originally rezoned back in 1999, I think. And then they've redone it twice since then, and then the preliminary plat has since expired, and so they're back again. This is showing the entire subject tract. It is currently PUD, and they're doing a new one. And the land is currently vacant. This is on the north side of Tecumseh, across from the hospital, the Healthplex. Here's an aerial showing the property and all the surrounding development. We have the preliminary plat showing the different lots. And here's the site plan. So on the north side, they're proposing a senior living facility. And then the rest of it is office and commercial development. So staff forwards this request to the Planning Commission for your consideration, and the applicant is here with the presentation as well.
Thank you. I'll take any questions from staff by commission.
Just had a quick technical question. So there's a request for an alley waiver. Is this common? And what exactly was the, like, what, I guess what are the alleys for?
I will let Todd answer that for you.
Todd McClellan, Development Engineer. Yes, Commissioner, the alley waiver is something that's pretty common anymore since we don't really do alleys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions by commission for staff? Seeing none, I would take the applicant presentation.
Good evening, Gunnar Joyce with Rieger Law Group here on behalf of property owner and developer Carroll Farm LLC. Terry Haynes in the back with SMC, civil engineer on the project, and Libby Smith here with us as well. Just real quick, because I thought it was interesting too, Commissioner, I hadn't seen the alleyway waiver, so I looked it up, and the last preliminary plat had the same request associated with it, but basically talked with Terry, and with the larger commercial lots that we have, you can take care of deliveries and access without needing the alleyway in the back. So that's the request here, like it was back, I think 2015, 2011 was the last time the preliminary plat was brought. So no change to that request, but that's the reason for it. So still requesting that. Here's the location. We're just north of Tecumseh, next to, or we're east of 36th Avenue. As you can see, there's I-35. I actually kind of cheated tonight and just copy and pasted this slide from the Storage, Oklahoma site that we had in front of you probably about 5 months ago. It's just right on the other side of 36th. So you can see the commercial developments in the area. Norman Regional is to the south, Bob Moore and Fowler Toyota right on I-35 frontage, and then the fire station to the north, and then as we go up, the Catholic school there. Ruby Grant Park, obviously, farther north. So the zoning in the 2025 request, the legal descriptions are different on that because the 2025 reflects basically the zoning of the prior PUD, and a lot of that is remaining the same. So as you can see there, it's just 3 acres right on 36 that was originally planned in the prior zoning as office use. One of the requests tonight is to make that allowable for commercial uses so that they can expand the allowable uses right there on the frontage, match the rest of the development with commercial right there on 36th. And really that's one of the kind of the major intents of this rezoning, other than bringing the preliminary plat back into compliance and allowing them to move forward with their development. So the preliminary plat has expired for the whole 44.6 acres, so we're bringing the zoning and the preliminary plat back. A lot of it remains unchanged, but you will see, I've got a next slide here comparing the two. This is actually much more green. It's reduced parking substantially, and I think the main reason driver of that is that there are no more commercial parking minimums. So you'll see here in a second, much less parking, much more green space, a more creative layout, allowing more buildings, less parking. The summary of the PUD is that it allows for really a horizontal mixed use throughout the site with commercial, office, multifamily. As Laura pointed out, the far north next to the detention pond is a senior living site. And then there's 42 townhouse units that are proposed just south of that detention pond. So really kind of trying to draw all the residential living up there by the detention pond and kind of use that as an amenity for the development with walking trails around it. And the rest of it will be commercial and office allowances. So here's the comparison. And I apologize, you don't have the original one green, but if you can see in there, all the parking lots are kind of the typical big box buildings with massive parking lots, not a lot of break in between there. And then at the hard corner, not the hard corner, just north of it, but at 36 in Tecumseh, you can see what was originally planned to be a gas station. If you can, I don't think you can see the mouse there, but that is now broken up into, I think, 3 commercial lots with much more green space than what was originally proposed. So substantially more green, kind of a more modern design than what was originally approved. And really the zoning request changed from just office to an allowance to be commercial those 3 lots north of that interior road, right on 36th Avenue. Then the last item you vote on, so the 2025, the zoning and then the preliminary plat, there is the preliminary plat. It's 30 platted lots, and again, 44.68 acres. And that's what it looks like with showing that Storage, Oklahoma site that you guys approved very recently, and then again, calling out some of the other notable uses in the area. Just to kind of wrap it up, we've had no protests throughout the process, no filed protests here as well, and no negative traffic impacts. A full TIA was done by TEC, reviewed by staff, and a positive staff report on traffic as well. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions by commission for the applicant?
Just one question, and this is just to refresh my memory. That Storage, Oklahoma, that was the one that had like the kind of residential look to it? Okay.
I saw that All Saints School came to pre-development and had some concerns about some of the specific uses. I'm curious to see if this current list that is in this PUD has been presented to them and if they were in approval, specifically because I know some of the things they were concerned about: liquor stores, adult shops, and I still see we have like smoke, tobacco, vape shops included in the uses, and several medical marijuana uses too. So curious if there was input after the pre-development meeting on that.
Yes, so they had a great conversation with the owner and haven't protested or filed post that pre-development meeting, but the owner was able to satisfy them with there are substantial and very restrictive covenants filed right now. So a lot of those uses in the allowable use list are prohibited today under the current covenants, and they're might even update further based on some of the new allowances that are applicable through this PUD. So that list that you see in front of you is not what will be allowed on that specific site through restrictive covenants, the private agreement.
On the entire site, or just kind of like a certain radius within the school?
So
Does
the
that
school,
radius extend to the entire site? I guess that's my question.
yeah, my understanding of the school's comments where they attended pre-development, I didn't attend that one, Sean handled it, but they wanted to make sure, they've had a good relationship with this family, and they wanted to make sure none of those sites would be developed any noxious uses. And in that conversation, they were assured that the private covenants prevent throughout the whole site any of those noxious uses, because like those other developments, the senior living, the other commercial sites, they want to make sure that they control the tenant mix and the end user mix so that it's, keeps all the property values to the highest they can get them. So if they let in some of those end users that the school doesn't want to see, other commercial users that they're trying to sell to also won't want to be around them. So very restrictive. They have substantial landscaping, substantial signage, substantial architectural review already in place, and want to continue to keep that. So all of that is applicable, just a private document that's separate from zoning level.
So question with that, and this might be just a technical process question, but if it's already restricted, then why include it as an allowable use in the PUD?
Yeah, so our thought process, and this is more of like a technical zoning discussion, is we have had sites throughout the city before where circumstances change 20, 30 years later, and we come back for a PUD where we change one word, right? And it's just adding liquor store now. And you could envision where it would be a very high-end liquor store that would be attractive. And if at the covenant level everyone was happy with it, we wouldn't have to come back. We could just allow it at the private level. We wouldn't have to go through the full rezoning process just to say we're not changing any of the site, we're not changing any of the uses except for adding one. So we've had zonings like that before. It happened a lot whenever medical marijuana was first allowed, and a lot of these sites had to go through kind of the rigorous rezoning process just to add words. There have been comments before from Planning Commission and City Council that maybe we should look at administrative mechanisms to not make those property owners go through the 3-month process for some minor tweaks like that. But that we've always tried, at our level to, if we can allow that and not have to go through the full process to add, kind of smaller words like that, we would try to. But to your point, there are private covenants that don't allow a liquor store today.
Could you go ahead and refresh mine and the other commissioners' memories on how private covenants can be adjusted after the fact, including how much percentage of ownership? Is that controlled by the individual document and at the statute level, just so everyone knows what could change in private covenants later?
Absolutely. So the statutes, and I'll kind of bumble through this, there's a timing mechanism. So I think it's 10 years, might be 15 years, but if somebody files covenants and they don't have an amendment procedure, then it's 65, 75% of the owners that have to agree and sign off to amend a covenant. And then after that timing mechanism's up, I think it's 50% of the owners. If the covenants have an amendment procedure listed out, which most of them do now because everyone's aware of that statute, then it's whatever they agreed to at the time of filing the covenants. What's most common is that the declarant will keep, the declarant is the developer, so the developer that puts the covenants on the lot will keep kind of unilateral amendment rights until a certain number are sold off. That way, if they are having trouble selling lots or they're too restrictive in architectural control, it's very common, they'll be extremely restrictive, and then somebody will come in like a Chick-fil-A, not saying this site and that specific user, but just an example, and Chick-fil-A will say, our design is what we do across the nation, it doesn't comply with your design guidelines, so the developer will say, okay, it's more important for me to get that user than to make you match my aesthetic pleasure, so they'll amend the covenants.
Thank you. I just also want to clarify, how many, compared to the prior plat, and maybe pulling up that slide from before, how many additional lots, individual lots were created from the change?
I don't know the specific number. It is more. Terry, do you know off the top of your head? We can kind of just ballpark it like this big gas station site, which is kind of at the bottom, 36th Avenue, Tecumseh Corner, has turned into, looks like 3, maybe 4. So there's a couple of spots like that where it was originally planned probably a very large box store with the kind of the sea of parking lot is now broken up into smaller lots.
Thank you.
I have one more technical question. So in the description, I think it said a minimum of 10% green space, but when I'm looking at this picture, that looks like a lot more than 10%.
Yeah, it's currently at 35% of the whole development area. 10% is the minimum that comes from the PUD statute that the city has, so we usually just take that language and say it has to be a minimum of that. We've talked about this at length too, where you're prohibited, if you move forward with this site plan, if you approve it, then they have to stick very rigorously to what is shown, and they would have to, there's a small percentage change, 5%, 10%, that would allow them to adjust. So if it's shown currently at 35, they could maybe get something approved at, 32%. But even in the PUD, the multifamily stuff to the north is capped at 65% per lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions by commission for the applicant?
I have one. I have two, actually. When is the proposed, once it gets past council, when is the proposed start for construction?
I don't think they have a specific date in mind, but I do know that sort of the purpose for bringing it now is that there are very interested parties. So there's transactions being contemplated.
Excellent. Well, the other thing is, it is an ambitious project. So does the Carroll Farm, do they have kind of a rough idea of when this might be built out? Is it 10 years, 20 years? What are they looking at to make it worthwhile?
Yeah, I think their expectation is, sooner rather than later. I don't mean to give you a vague answer, but I think they had that plan in 1999, right? And so they have tried to, let's get something going, turn dirt and make it happen. And they've piecemealed it together because this whole area basically in between I-35 and 36 was under the same ownership, and it was an original zoning in 1999. And so the first ones out of the ground were the 2 car dealerships, and then Victory Church, the church building there. And then from there, it kind of slowed. So I think, originally when it was taking off, they probably thought, hey, this is going to be quick. And now it's kind of gone around it. So we're at year 25 so far of the development. I don't think it would take another 25 to finish it out.
I hope to live that long.
Me too.
As a comment that you could possibly just confirm, I did see that the lots were actually marketed for sale, and they seemed to be kind of aggressively putting out some marketing material. So I do think they are seeking sales on there, and that is probably the transactions being contemplated as mentioned. So that would probably affect some of your build timeline, is seeing that they're actually being offered for sale currently. And you can confirm or
I confirm.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant by commission? Seeing none, I would take any audience comments. And then seeing no audience members, I would move to planning commission discussion. I just want to add, since I brought it up on the RV park, that I did note and appreciated seeing some smaller lots being available. A comment that I made on that project, just to show some consistency, that I appreciated seeing smaller develops that were a little bit more accessible for a local and buyer to be able to buy and build a business in there, compared to, for example, that much larger parcel that would have been a much more costly per square foot cost on there. So I was excited to see some change into a smaller option, some smaller buildings rather than maybe one giant end user kind of in mind. So just wanted to make that comment for consistency. If there's no other planning commission discussion, I would take a motion.
Move to approve?
Second.
And a vote?
You may vote. Everyone has voted, and the motion carried 6-0.
Moving to our next items, I'm going to read items 6 and 7 together. Item number 6, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance number O-2324-35, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, amending section 36 the code of the City of Norman so as to remove the part of the east half of the Section 14, Township 9 North, Range 3 West of the Indian Meridian to Norman, Cleveland County, Oklahoma, from the PUD Planned Unit Development District and place the same in the PUD Planned Unit Development District, and providing for the severability thereof, generally located east of I-35 between Corporate Center Drive and Rock Creek Road. And item number 7, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of PP-2324-12, consideration of a preliminary plat submitted by University North Park LLC for University North Park Entertainment District, a planned unit development for approximately 90 acres of property generally located on the east side of I-35 between Corporate Center Drive and Rock Creek Road. The applicant has requested continuance to the June 13th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Again, that is June 13th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Any discussion, or I would take a motion?
Move to approve.
Just to be specific
Move to approve the requested continuance to the June 13th. Yep, the June 13th Planning Commission meeting.
And a second?
Second.
And a vote.
You may vote. Everyone has voted, and 6-0.
Moving to items 8, 9, and 10. Item number 8, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of resolution number R-2324-76, a resolution of the Council of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, amending the Norman 2025 Land Use and Transportation Plan so as to remove part of the southwest Township 8 North, Range 2 West of the Indian Meridian, Cleveland County, Oklahoma, from the industrial designation and place the same in mixed-use designation, and change approximately 11.5 acres from future urban service area to current urban service area, southeast corner of Highway 9 and Jenkins Avenue. Item number 9, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance number O-2324-28, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, amending section 36-201 of the Code of the City of Norman so as to remove part of the southwest quarter of section 8, Township 8 North, Range 2 West of the Indian Meridian to Norman, Cleveland County, Oklahoma, from the I-1 1 Light Industrial District and place the same in PUD, Planned Unit Development District, and providing for the severability thereof, southeast corner of Highway 9 and Jenkins Avenue. And item number 10, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of PP-2324-10, consideration of a preliminary plat submitted by Highway 9 Jenkins M&J Investments LLC, Crafton Toll, for Sooner Village, a planned unit development for 56.54 acres of property generally located at the southeast corner of Highway 9 and Jenkins Avenue. The applicant has requested postponement to the August 8th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Is there any discussion, or I would take a motion, and again, that date is August 8th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Move to approve the postponement to the August 8th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting of items 8, 9, and 10.
Second.
And a vote?
You may vote. Everyone has voted, and the motion carried 6-0.
Moving to miscellaneous discussion, does staff have any information for the commission? Could we confirm our next meeting time and location, or time
That's what I
and
was-
date?
Thank you, that's what I was going to say. So I have to look at my calendar to make sure. So we have, due to the legals not making it, going to meet next Thursday, May 16th, and that will also be 6:30. There'll be 2 items on the agenda for that meeting. I'm sorry about that, but I really do want to try and keep them on track if we can. But then our meeting in June, so June 13th, that will be our first meeting at 5:30.
Thank you. Any other miscellaneous comments from staff? Or from commission? If there's nothing else to come before the commission, I'll declare the meeting adjourned.
33.
Well, no, we didn't start till 6:36. Look, look,
45. I was reading fast.
you read very fast.
We're at your minutes, kind of lengthen it out.